Hey everyone, welcome back to the Doing All the Things Challenge. I am Kate and we are currently on day 13. Let's go ahead and jump right into my sleep because it is certainly lacking again. I don't know how I survive at this point, with the exception that quite frankly, this has always been my life. It's been like this for a long time. I've just really started to take notice of it like the past 5 years maybe, and really working to actually sleep. So that's where we are with that. I am really trying to resolve that. I am still holding out hope that something will give and I'll be able to sleep at least 6 hours a night by the time this challenge is over. Now, keeping good on my word to go ahead and test my urine for THC. Again, using that cheap dollar store test. And as we can see here, I do still have marijuana THC in my urine. Kind of was on the fence as far as how that would turn out. So I am going to test again, I think maybe in a week, just to see what kind of difference that will make. And I do want to point out, so employers, courts, when you have to do drug tests, they use different tests. They're not all the same. Sometimes they have a cutoff that is higher or lower than each other, essentially. And I'm putting all this out there because you could test negative on this test and then still test positive on one of those other tests. And the reason being is because this cutoff would be lower, for example, than where you're testing. So just something to keep in mind. But again, a nice little tool to use if you are trying to pass a drug test and making sure THC is out of your system. And I do want to point out, it is kind of funny if you're part of the community that smokes weed and has to occasionally pee clean. On the forums, you'll see, not everybody, but people on there with their drug test, like, I think I see a faint line going across from the T, and that the reason for their curiosity there and wanting confirmation on that faint line is because 2 lines will mean you are negative. So it's just kind of funny to see everybody on there. Is there a faint line? Anyway, I am still positive for THC. So we'll keep up with that again, probably weekly. Now, being that I did not get much sleep, I was extremely tired today. It really took a lot out of me to get out of bed this morning even. I mean, I was just so tired. And so I did my walk, but I really debated on not doing my walk this morning and just rearranging my entire schedule and doing it later. But I just knew I need to get up and get it over with, especially because like right now it's raining. So I am glad that I did go ahead and just get it over with. Now, as we can see, my time has greatly increased, right? I was down to like almost a 19-ish minute, right under 20-minute mile, and I'm back over 23 minutes at this point. And I want to talk about that for a second because it is really about showing up, okay? While yes, I would love to come before you day after day and say, I crushed it, I walked faster, I ran faster, I went further, my time is getting better and better. It's not always going to be the reality. And the ultimate premise really of this challenge is to take care of yourself more than anything. That doesn't mean to push yourself when you're completely exhausted to go on a run. It just means to show up, and to show up and participate in, what I have set out for myself to do, no matter how small, no matter how slow. And so when we keep in mind, the goal was walk 2 miles 5 times a week. As long as I show up and do that, okay. Now, Is that ultimately what I want? No, I want to continue to be faster on my walks and at some point increase that length. But here's where I am meeting myself, where I'm at, and giving myself some grace, some love, some consideration, just really being here for me and ultimately taking care of myself. So again, if you're going through this challenge and certain things aren't working or you're not consistently great at everything, that's okay. You have to meet yourself where you're at. And for me, that's really what this challenge has been about. I've realized is that I wasn't happy where I was, and I was refusing to meet myself with my poor habits, my unhealthy habits. And when I wasn't willing to meet myself there, how was I going to change? I wasn't, because I wasn't acknowledging that part of me. I wasn't acknowledging what was going on. And again, I was utilizing those substances mostly as coping mechanisms, a way to cope with certain stresses. So it's also about just learning healthier habits, healthier ways to cope. So just wanted to share that with you, that really this challenge, more than anything, is about taking care of yourself. And how can I do that? How can we do that for ourselves in a way that is kind and gentle and loving ultimately? So moving on, my walk today, so disappointed in this video, and I do need to invest in like a real camera, but there was this skunk on my walk and you can just barely see it. And part of that is because I got scared. And I can tell it's like carrying something in its mouth. It almost looks like maybe a baby skunk, I don't know. And two, it threw me off because you don't see skunks usually during the day. So seeing this skunk, and then I could see it was coming toward me, and as it's coming down off of that curb is where unfortunately I didn't capture the best parts. But it started coming across the street and I was just freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, is it coming toward me? And then it put its butt up with its tail puffed up in the air, but facing behind, like the skunk was facing me, but it still kind of got ready, right, to spray. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I did not want to turn around because that would have just messed up everything, and I don't have the energy, right, for that today. I just want to do my walk, and here's this skunk. But thankfully, I did end up just remaining on the other side of the street. I'm so thankful for that. And then I just wanted to show, you know, the cute little bunny on my walk. I see probably, no joke, at least 10 to 15 of those things daily to include in my own yard. And then going back to just being so tired today, and then also just allowing myself flexibility. I did only 10 minutes of Pilates, no resistance band. I did a mindful cool down, and that was also 10 minutes. I almost feel like the cool down was more work than the Pilates itself, but still got in that additional exercise. Let's go ahead and see what time I broke my fast and what delicious breakfast I had with that. Day 13, breaking my fast at 16 hours, 40 minutes with this delicious omelet using the steak I had left over from the meal I cooked yesterday, and some coffee. I did eat the rest of those blueberries and what little raspberries are left there. And then here we've got my water set out for the day, like I highly recommend doing. Make sure you've got whatever you're drinking in sight, in mind, along with my green tea. Already had a glass of black, and then coffee, black coffee with half and half, I guess we'll say it that way. And then snacks, I had 2 thin slices of pepper jack cheese with about a 1/4 cup of nuts and a V8. Now for dinner. So dinner was kind of treating myself in a sense, and also just the fact that I'm tired and did not want to figure out what I was going to cook. So I did treat myself. I ate out. I had 2 of the wings. I had that delicious salad. I love that salad with the onion straws on top. So delicious. And yes, you know what? Probably carbs. And that's okay. And that's the other thing really quick. I did not test for ketones in my urine today because I'm so far into ketosis that I figured I'm just not gonna test today. I'll probably test tomorrow to see where I'm at. Getting back to dinner, this was my entree. I love this entree at this restaurant. It is an 8-ounce piece of salmon with broccoli, and that broccoli is so good. It's got tons of butter and garlic. Now, I didn't finish all of it, so that's what I brought home. Someone else will probably eat the leftovers. And I do want to point out, I feel like today I've eaten the most food I've eaten in a while. Now, dinner certainly helped me reach the goal of 30 plants per week. Adding in those veggies I ate today to the plant list puts me at 35, I believe. Yep. Since we are on the topic of list, let's go ahead and knock out what I've accomplished so far for day 13. No alcohol, no weed, no cigarettes. Completed walking 2 miles 5 times a week today. Woohoo! And this 1 mile 2 times a week is in progress. Did Pilates 5 times this week. Going to skip the increased income by $5,000. Definitely hit eating 30 different plants already this week. Did fast for 16 hours today. At least, I think it was close to 17. I don't know. Did complete that one 36-hour fast per week. Clearly eating lower carb. Did my mindful minute. Cannot check sleeping 6 to 8 hours. I still am holding out hope there. I am updating and posting daily. I did work my shift despite being just so absolutely tired. I feel I actually did pretty good, so yay. I have drank 3 bottles of water at least. Definitely had a glass of black and green tea today. I will close my Apple Watch rings. I have 1 stand hour left. And cook at home, I'm going to check, because while I didn't cook dinner, I did at least cook breakfast. And, you know, I'm going to be flexible with that one. I was never super specific as far as that goal. So I did cook at home today. And I did work on that passion. Now, no, still have not gone back to the Guinness World Record website. I do plan on doing something further with that this weekend, but I did post like 5 Kate hearts on my Instagram. So clearly working on that. And there we go for day 13 of the Doing All the Things challenge. And my boyfriend asked me an interesting question last night, so I just wanted to share my answer with you all.
How will you feel like about not like smoking or drink?
So I just really haven't even been thinking about it. For one, I'm so busy doing all of the videos and everything like that, and it's just keeping me busy. So I haven't had any sort of urges or even cravings. Like, it's just not in my mind.
That's good.
But I think a lot of that is because I'm so busy and essentially distracted with the videos. Yeah,
Your
that my mind,
busy.
exactly.
Your mind busy, which is something you like to do. Not even thinking like to have a drink or you doing something you don't want to do is.
Exactly. So it's been pretty easy for that reason. So I guess if you're needing help with your sobriety, definitely finding something to keep you occupied. Maybe starting your own YouTube channel, because let me tell you what, editing videos, making videos, it is a lot of work. It has been so busy, as you've heard, just not even a thought in my mind. So there we have day 13. I do want to touch on a few things. For example, my sleep. A lot of it is I'm having trouble getting to sleep. I can go to bed at 9, I can go to bed at 10, I can go to bed when I'm super, super tired, but it does not matter. I get into bed and I just cannot sleep. And part of it almost feels like I can't get comfortable. And I have wondered, like, is it because my body is like physically changing? So what I'm used to is comfortable is just like, it's different and my body's having to adjust. I'm wondering if that's what it is. Also with my body flushing out all of this, you know, all the habits, all the crap, right? That could be affecting it. Now, being so far into ketosis could also be impacting my sleep, because that does have, you know, a play in your hormones and everything else. So that could be impacting it. And I want to also point out that being that far in ketosis could also lead to, you know, why I am feeling a bit more tired. But again, overall, I really strongly feel it just has to do with me not sleeping. I mean, we're going to see when I post my weekly update for week 2, because I just checked how many hours daily so far this week, and it is so bad. So anyway, looking to certainly improve that. But overall, I think that's all I have for you guys today. I do plan on going live tomorrow. Again, still really nervous about that. Not sure how it's going to work. Not sure what time. Not sure about anything that has to do with that. I have no idea. I'm totally going to wing it. So stay tuned for that, I guess. We'll see how that goes. I wish I had more, you know, dialed down with that situation, but I don't. So, you know, I'm just going to make do, make it work. I'm going to show up live. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And again, keep in mind, I'm going to do a live YouTube and it's going to be me picking out, I don't know how many items, but basically my clothing to donate. So 1 piece of clothing for every pound lost throughout this challenge. I may either double that. I might go back from when I started in April and the weight I've lost since then. Again, not too sure. I just know I need to get rid of a ton of clothes. So that will be happening tomorrow. I'm excited, but still really nervous. So with everything being said, I do want to thank you, as always, for your time. If you are participating, no matter how small, I certainly appreciate that, and give yourself some credit. And also, how are you doing? Let me know down in the comments how you're participating, how you're showing up. Let me know of a time you've had to be easy on yourself. You know, let's encourage each other that it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. And that is okay. So let me know a time like that down in the comments, maybe inspire others and encourage others. Again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you back here tomorrow for day 14, 2 weeks into our challenge. Have a good one, everyone.